We're going to Oklahoma now. Corey Taylor, graduating senior from the University of Tulsa, joining us. He's on the road, they tell me, the Golden Hurricane. How you doing, Corey? Thanks for making time for us today.
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I appreciate our mutual friend, Garrick Jones, lining this interview up. Before we talk about the NFL draft later this week, would you mind telling our viewers across North America that might not be fully into the Tulsa program about yourself, your career, and then we'll talk about what's next?
Yeah, so my name is Corey Taylor. I played running back at the University of Tulsa for the last 5 years. It's been a great experience. This year, we really were able to show more of what we could do on the field with ending the season with a great record. And we have some great prospects coming out this year in the draft. And I believe even better prospects next year in the draft. So it's definitely a team to watch out for. And I'm excited for Tulsa football's future.
Good. Well, I want to ask you about this because there are some players that weren't able to play this year. Trey Lance comes to mind from NDSU. What was the COVID situation for you like at Tulsa, and how did it affect your game-by-game performance? Did you get a full season in? Can you talk about that, how 2020 was just a little weird compared to normal years?
Yeah, it was definitely weird. We went on stints where we didn't play for about 3 weeks. There was a lot of games canceled and or rescheduled. So there wasn't a lot of pace and there wasn't a lot of rhythm that you were able to gain. But it really challenged you as a player to be a professional and to be on at all times in any point when you get in the game. I kind of think of it as, in comparison to being in a system where it's running back by committee. Like, you're going to have to hop in at random points in the game and in different instances, and you just got to make the most of the situation. And that's what our coaching staff preached to us this year, which is being able to adapt and still perform at a high level. And I feel like we did that.
Corey, you didn't get into a full groove, but you had a 4.9 yard average per carry. Darren, 105 carries, 516 yards, works out to 4.9. That's a career high, basically, for you, Corey. Like, overall, you had a pretty good senior season.
Yeah, I wasn't disappointed with all, especially given, the record we had, making it to the conference championship and really competing in that conference championship. We came and we earned our respect, and in the years to come, it's just going to go only up from here.
How did your pro day go?
My pro day went well. I had really great feedback from the scouts, and they were happy with the way I moved. They were happy with how I looked and, my body fat. And I think it definitely helped me increase my draft stock. And we'll see what that's going to look like on Friday.
How are you feeling coming out of that season? Are you 100% physically fine right now?
Yep, 100% back in the gym and ready to go.
Okay, so I've been reading up on you at NFLDraftScout.com. They feel they're not sure where you're going in the draft on the weekend. You mentioned Friday. What's your week going to be like in anticipation, and how are you going to spend it following this NFL draft?
So, anticipation, all those things, you get rid of all that anxiety by just getting in the gym, working out, and doing what you do. At the end of the day, I know I'm going to receive an opportunity to go out and display my skills and to compete for a spot. And that's what I'm going to continue to prepare for. I don't get too much involved in, the projections and where you may or may not land. I've talked to a good amount of teams, and they've shown a good amount of interest, and they're confident in my ability. And even more so, I'm confident in my ability. And that comes from the work that I've been putting in this offseason, and I'm excited to put that on display and show the world.
I love it. When you talk about how excited you are for the future, what do you think the future holds for you pro football-wise? No matter which team goes to. I'm not dumb enough to ask you which team you hope drafts you, but you got the whole wide world in front of you. What excites you about that?
Man, I think it's, just achieving a childhood dream. I kind of navigate my life by two principles, and that's to imagine and inspire. And my whole life, I've imagined myself being in this position and playing at the next level in the NFL. And, I hope that my journey and the challenges that I've had along the way and how I've overcome them and how I've been blessed inspires the generation behind me, inspires my peers. And I'm just going to continue to live and navigate my life that way. So my hope is to go in, make an NFL roster, and make an impact as soon as I can, immediately, and continue to do what I've always done, keep my head down and work.
Okay. Well, you're very humble because Garrick Jones is watching and he's just written in with your pro day stats. 28 reps, 4.5 40, 9.10 broad jump. Woo! All this is off the charts, man. You're obviously ready for it. One of our viewers says, Nelson says, did you do any team interviews as part of the draft process? And if so, which team grilled you the hardest?
So I did do team interviews during the draft process. I wouldn't exactly say any team drilled me very much. The draft process, is kind of a lot different than what I expected. When you go into these team meetings with teams, they're really trying to get to know you as a person. Like, they've seen your film, they've seen your numbers, and they've seen and heard from your coaches what you're all about. Now they want to know what you're about with their own eyes and their own ears and be able to see you up close and personal. So they're not really grilling you. It's more of getting history and learning more about you as a person and what your character looks like.
Absolutely, because they want good people in their program. What was the weirdest or most difficult question you fielded in those interviews?
I think the most difficult question that always kind of gets me, because it always shifts just a little bit, was what would you go back and tell your freshman yourself, your incoming freshman self? Like, what would the piece of advice, if you could give yourself one nugget, what would that be? And it's difficult because when you look back on your journey, there's so many times where maybe if you would have pivoted a little bit differently or pursued something a little bit harder, that the results would have turned out the way you wanted. But I don't really live that way in terms of, looking back in the past and hoping and wishing that I would have did something different. And, I've been trying to live my life on full go, always giving 100%. And if I were to tell my freshman self, my incoming freshman self, anything, would be that exactly, is to continue to go 100%, trust your instinct, trust your gut, and live with no regrets. Because if you're putting 100% forward, then the outcome is the outcome. Like, that's just it. You can't control that. But what you can control is your attitude, your effort. And just continue to live life that way.
Wow, I hope everybody's listening to that. That's a good answer, by the way. I can't imagine any team that wouldn't be impressed with that. The viewers do want to know who your favorite NFL team is, though. Corey, could you answer that?
You know what? I'm going to figure out on Friday.
Whoever drafts me.
Whoever drafts me, whoever picks me up is going to be my favorite team. And the thing is, I'm diehard about my favorite team. So when that happens, you'll definitely know.
I got to think it'll be America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. We need a backup for Zeke. I could see you in that role. Dan Ukrainitz, one of our viewers, says, Corey, is your teammate, Zaven Collins, the best linebacker in this draft?
Without a doubt. And I feel like anyone who's questioning that, all you got to do is turn on the tape. I've had the privilege of playing across Zaven for the last couple of years, and he's definitely grown and matured as, a person and a player on and off the field. And, the sky's the limit for him. When you watch him on tape, he has freaky athleticism, he's instinctive, and he just is a go-getter. He goes to the ball, he flies to the ball super fast, and he's gonna help a team out, whatever team he ends up on.
All right, Corey, we're going to let you go. You're a busy guy, obviously. This has been fantastic. Good luck. Now we all got another rooting interest, so we'll be watching for your name, and I appreciate the time today.
Thank you for having me. God bless.
Same to you. Corey Taylor II.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.